Well, helplessness is a classical part of a narcissistic relationship. But there are two very distinct forms of helplessness in a narcissistic relationship, and frankly, there are probably a lot more than two. But there are two central kinds, and this can leave people feeling like they are just not healable from these relationships, which is simply not true. So, what's the first helplessness? The first helplessness is that original helplessness of finding that nothing that you are doing in the relationship is working. And generally, this first original helplessness happens before you know anything about narcissism. This first helplessness may have lasted for your entire childhood, because a child really can't get their heads around narcissism. And even if they could, the issues of attachment and survival will take precedence. The first helplessness comes out of wanting the love story to continue, the love bombing and early days of idealization, and truly believing that you were being seen like you never were in your life to come back. The first helplessness is about not being able to find the right way to say it, whatever you're trying to say to them, from believing that you actually have to mind read the narcissist and really trying to do it. It comes from trying to be perfect. And then the one small thing you get wrong, the one misplaced phrase, the not being exactly what they want, blowing up the entire day. This first original helplessness comes from having a series of good enough days, and then bam, it turns into an angry, silent treatment, manipulative mess, and you can't figure out what set them off. The first helplessness is a combination of not knowing what to do and believing that it is something in you that must be unfixable since nothing is working. It's the origin of why survivors of narcissistic relationships feel as though they are broken. The first helplessness could last for a lifetime if they don't learn about narcissism. And if you do learn about narcissism, you are often taken to the second helplessness. And this is the helplessness that can come out of the grief after radical acceptance. The second helplessness is the hope being dismantled. It's the having to give up on the idea that things may change significantly, that there is something you can do to fix it, to make it better. The second helplessness is having to shift into the realistic expectations. The second helplessness can bring up feelings of guilt and grief and anger. It feels different. You start seeing the patterns. You know it's a thing, but you may be resistant. Now you may wonder, am I just going to have to accept that I'm stuck in one of these helplessnesses in perpetuity? No. Radical acceptance, sort of done right, and alongside healing, becomes about not feeling helpless as much as being able to clearly see the limitations of the relationship, to learn to engage with it differently, to recognize that there are things this relationship, this person cannot do, and it's not about you. There can be a sadness, a resignation, a heaviness, but it's no longer a helplessness. You know what you need to do and what can't be done, and you may not like it, but you do it. Listen, you may get hoovered and go back to that second helplessness and then go through it and learn a little more and land on a more solid radical acceptance. And there may be times in life we do get to radical acceptance. But life happens, and we need the narcissistic person to do something, sign a form, go to a hospital, and it is not happening. And the second helplessness comes flowing back again. And then we climb back out. Sometimes the less contact you have with the narcissistic person, the more that second helplessness can fade. But helplessness sucks. It can be the prelude to depression, feelings of worthlessness, and general apathy, and a why even get out of bed sort of sensation. But understanding the different things and the different kinds of helplessnesses that narcissistic relationships teach us shows us that knowledge is crucial to healing, and so too is grief. Over time, the helplessness can and often will lift. And sure, there will be other negative mood states that pass through, like sadness, but that locked up feeling of helplessness does gradually abate. And I promise you, it feels like liberation. Thanks again.